So it was requested in the comments of one of my other videos that I do a video about how I do my really quick, super, super subtle, natural looking contour. I know that on YouTube, subtle and contour kind of sound like an oxymoron because everyone's so big into the creams and the really intense, you know, makeup that's very reminiscent of like drag makeup, and that's great. If that's what you want to do, you go for it, champ. But some of us are just looking for a little bit of like a really subtle, everyday kind of something, you know what I mean? So that is what I'm going to show you how I do that. Disclaimer first, of course, as always, I am not a professional makeup artist. I've never schooled that. I don't have any diplomas in the back there. It's just fan art of Sailor Moon. And so technically I'm not a professional. This is just what I have learned in my many, many experiences with makeup and with playing with things. This is just what I like to do. So the first and foremost rule of contouring in my books, and should be all over general, is you have to know what your face shape is, because contouring is going to be different on everyone's face. So I know that those kind of charts or whatever that you see on Pinterest often get kind of like put down, but I think that they can be a very useful tool to kind of give you an idea and a guideline of what your face shape is and maybe what areas you should be focusing your contour. For me, I know that I have a heart-shaped face, a very wide forehead and a more narrow, like sort of bottom of my face here. So it's very heart-shaped. So typically, I would contour my forehead more, my cheeks less, and my chin even less. Now, that being said, of course, like I said, everyone's face is unique, so you can always alter the contour to fit what you want more. So like I said, typically people with heart-shaped faces don't really contour their cheeks as much, but I love that sharp cheekbone life, so I will always do my cheeks. I actually do my forehead even less because usually I straighten my bangs and they're covering most of my forehead anyway. Now the next thing I think that is super, super important if you want to do like a subtle contour is you need to use powders. A lot of people really push the creams out there. You know, they're all like cream contour, but I feel like especially when you're a beginner, cream contour can look too intense, too heavy, very, very, very fast. So always I would say go with powders because they're just so much easier to use and they're so much lighter and they're a little more foolproof. There are a lot of different companies, a lot of different brands make like powders that you can contour and highlight with. You know, you could pick them individually and go with like a Makeup Geek, or Morphe does them now too, and MAC of course does them, and you can pick your color more individually, or you could go a little bit fancier and go with any of the like big palettes. The important thing though when you're choosing a contour shade is to go with something that's not too much darker than your skin. I know that everyone's always like the darkest ever, even for someone as pale as me, but try not to go too much darker than your skin, only a couple of shades. And secondly, make sure that your contour shade is very, very cool toned or even gray based, because it's not a bronzer. You're not warming up your skin, you're just creating the illusion of fake shadows, and shadows are, you know, not warm toned. You could also, if you didn't want to choose your color individually, go with one of those pre-made big palettes. There's a bunch of them now. A bunch of different brands do like contour highlight palettes. You take your pick. Personally, I love to use the e.l.f. contour kit. And this is why. First of all, if I'm going to go to Sephora or wherever and spend a lot of money on a product, I want it to be like a fancy product. You know what I mean? Like I want to get like really fun eyeshadows or really fun lipstick, like something like that. I feel like I don't care enough about contour and highlight. Honestly, I don't want them to look that intense enough. I don't care about chiseling my face. So I don't want to spend a lot of money on it. So this is only $6. $6 Canadian for this, and I think it works perfectly fine. The other thing that I love about this palette is that the products, the powders, are not that pigmented. So whereas if you were to pick up like say the Kat Von D palette, those are super, super pigmented. I personally am very, very heavy-handed, and I like my contour like so soft. So I pick up the tiniest little bit of product, and that works perfectly fine for me. If I wanted to build it, I could, but I prefer to have the option. So I actually prefer like cheaper drugstore type powders for this sort of thing, so that I don't mess it up, because I'm liable to do that. Also, the other thing that often gets overlooked is I do firmly believe that if you're going to contour, you need to highlight. Even if it's just a little bit and it's just like a matte shade that's just a little bit lighter than your skin. This almost even looks darker than my skin. I get pale people problems. But yeah, so I believe that, you know, I watch Merlin too much. You know, every light side's gotta have the dark. So you really should do both. It's the best way to balance your face. So this is kind of like an unintentional under $10 thing, because I always do my contour and my highlight with my e.l.f. small taper brush. So I always do the highlight first so that I can use the same brush for both. I don't have to worry about, like, you know, all that stuff. So what I do, I just take a little bit of product on this. And so, where I take the highlight shade, make sure it's a matte highlight shade, because we're putting a lot of places here. I'm going to just take it on my cheekbones up here, down here, up my nose, not like up my nose, but up my nose, through the middle of my forehead. Now this powder is almost exactly my skin tone, to be honest. It is the smidgenest lighter, so I don't mind going a bigger surface on my forehead. Usually the bigger surface that you highlight, the bigger you're gonna make your forehead look, but I'm also kind of making this powder do double duty and having it set my foundation, because I hadn't done that yet either. My whole makeup is done, like my eyes, foundation, concealer, everything, but I didn't set my foundation, because that's kind of what I do with my contour. And just a little bit on my chin, you saw me do there, and that's really it. Now for the moment you've all been waiting for, contour. Now, my cheek contour is my most intense contour. I know, heart-shaped face, should be doing it forehead. I'm breaking my own rules, contradicting myself, but I like to do my cheeks the most intense. So, here's what's up. If you feel back here, you can feel your cheekbone. It's right there. And if you keep feeling, you can get your finger right underneath your cheekbone. So this is right underneath my cheekbone right now. So what I like to do is, you think of it, you're putting the product on the underside of the actual bone to try to hollow out this section and make it look, like it stands out more. If you keep feeling, you should stop being able to feel your cheekbone around here, and then it just becomes like your cheek fatty. Like, I have very, very bulbous apples of my cheeks, but on normal people, you should stop feeling around here too. So what that's telling me is that my contour should not come out any farther than right here. Just this section right here is where I should contour. So, take it in the back here. I like to make it the most dense right there. Bring it forward just a little bit. Back and forth, back and forth. Shove it up underneath the bone. And then to blend it out, I like to swirl back. I could even do that again if I wanted to. I didn't take a lot of product that time. That's essentially how my contour looks when I'm done with it. I like to bring that up into my hairline so it just blends in a little bit better. Don't mind the Rocky Mountains over here. I always get zits in my hairline. So bring it up just a little bit. I always like to, especially with my contour, apply everything in like rolly motions. A lot of people like to use the flat top brushes and just kind of go for it so that they get that really harsh angle. But I like to blend it out a little bit more, so rolly motions. So now for my forehead, I have one of those very, very like U-shaped hairlines, so it's definitely farther down in the front than it is on the sides. It has always been my whole life. So what I like to do is I like to pull my hair back and fill in this section up here with product just by sweeping it back and forth. This would be why I always do my makeup before my hair, because I always end up messing up my hair anyway. So you can just see a little bit of shadow up there, and then bring it across. Now for my nose is super, super easy. What I do is I take a little bit of product just on the very point of this small taper brush, and I literally just bring it down the sides of my nose. Now my nose is very crooked this way, it kind of hooks this way, so I do a very little bit of contour on this side, and I try to really contour the side that it like kicks out on, to try to balance it a little bit. So just a little bit over here. And then a little bit more on the other side. I started up a little bit higher on the other side even too, just to kind of balance it out. Noses are often the part of a person's face that they are like the unhappiest with, because noses get made in such extreme different shapes and sizes, right? So if you are trying to like correct your nose, if you will, with contour and highlight, I really generally believe that it's something you just kind of have to play around with to find what works for your nose and your nose shape and what you want, you know? So just play around with it. I'm gonna always do a little bit on the bottom too. Last but certainly not least for contour, the chin jaw area. Now a lot of other people will tell you when it comes to your jaw chin area contour to start back here and bring it like forward like that. But personally, because I am so short, my neck is so short, I like to start at the front here because there's no one's going to be seeing my chin from underneath. I blend it out really well anyway so that like it doesn't even matter, but this is the part that I'm self-conscious about. I feel like it's a little bit like, get up there. Whereas back here, no one's going to be able to tell anyway, especially because of my hair. So I like to take a little bit of product on the brush, just a little bit, and kind of like, how I do this so you can see. Swipe it back. Following where the natural shadow of my jaw is, and just kind of accentuating it even more. So yeah, that's how I use that, and of course no look would be complete without a little bit of blush at least, so I'm going to be using my Tarte Amazonian Clay blush in Captivating. And if you've seen any of my makeup videos before, you know that I like to apply my blush kind of further back. And I just feel like it helps add to the contour a little bit, you know what I mean? It just gives it a little bit of something else, kind of creates extra depth on my cheek, and I don't know. I never really liked that whole blush on the apples of the cheek look anyway. Looks a little too dolly for me, you know? So yeah, that is how I do my really simple, subtle, inexpensive, everyday highlight and contour. I use the e.l.f. highlight and contour kit and the e.l.f. Small tapered brush. It's really simple, it's really wearable, it's basically foolproof, especially if you're a beginner, like, so easy, don't even worry about it. It's not even a very intense contour, it's just a little bit subtle, a little bit to accentuate your natural bone structure, make you look extra good. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any requests for future videos, please let me know and I will make sure I do them. Again, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.